Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to CCW TV. I am Elliot Serrano, and this is Jose Melendez here on the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. The comic book show where a comic book writer and a comic book vendor talk about culture, the comic culture, the industry, and all things in between. So, our last series of segments were pretty much review-free because it was an all-rant. It was an all-rant series. And quite frankly, watching those videos myself are exhausting. I don't know how anybody else could have sat through those because they were really... recording them was exhausting. Watching them was exhausting. So, thank you to all of you who watched the videos, commented on how much you enjoyed them. Those were probably some of our most commented on videos too. A lot of conversation going on, and a lot of stuff was brought over to the CCW blog too. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the CCW blog, you are missing out on a big part of the conversation.
And probably some of the highest viewed videos we've ever had too.
Yeah, really, very highly viewed because they were timely and all that kind of stuff. And people, I think we kind of keyed into something, you know. We're not the only ones who were angry about the whole Deadpool variant thing. We weren't the only ones who took exception to some of the comments that Tom Brevoort made.
But I think maybe we're one of the few people who actually are saying that we're angry, and maybe that's why we're getting a lot of responses because everyone else who kind of agrees with us doesn't have anywhere to put that into any other websites or discussions going on anywhere. I don't think anyone's really talking about that.
Well, because if you go to another website and you start talking about it, you get shouted down.
Yeah.
You get shouted down. You get a lot of the same arguments that we've gotten. It's the old, they're just comics. Why are you getting all up about it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll be frank, too. After that week, I really am kind of like out of outrage at this point. Mm-hmm. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's just treat them like comics. Let the books speak for themselves. Some folks made some really great comments on the blog about, buying Marvel books because they wanted to support the creators. There was a lot of really spirited discussion going back and forth. That's kind of where I am right now. I'm tired of thinking about Marvel's business practices. I'm just going to let the books speak for themselves. If I like the book, I'm going to buy it. If I don't like it, I'm going to leave it on the shelf. Pure and simple.
But something did come up last week, though, that we can do a follow-up to what DC is now doing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
DC, not really a response, but kind of a response. Because it's very timely response to their next promotion, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you haven't been reading about this on the blog, that's where you can really get caught up on the conversation in a more timely manner. So we'll revisit DC's response when we start talking about DC stuff in Last Rants. But since we missed them, let's hit a couple reviews real quick because I know some of you guys, we keep getting asked to review and talk about different things. So let me first address the most pressing review. And the only reason it's pressing is because John Layman, every friggin' time he has a new Chew book coming out, he asks, when are we going to review it? And just so you folks know, John Layman has a total man crush on Jose. He has a total man crush on you. He's always asking how you're doing. He says, what did you think about it? Like when he sends out the reviews, he goes, what did Jose say?
Well, John Layman has my email address. He doesn't email me these things.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like he can't handle that. I don't know if he can handle interacting with you directly. He might not be able to. And guys, I shit you not, I am not. This is not a bit. John Layman always asks me about him. It's like the little kid in school who says, oh, does so-and-so like me?
Oh, Jesus.
But anyway.
But, and then I told you, there's a lot worse things in my life, that could be going wrong than have John Layman have a crush on me.
Can I tell you something? There aren't a lot worse things that can go that can be than having John Layman have a crush on you, because John Layman is woo.
Well, didn't John Layman, one of his cats just passed away, though?
Yeah, actually, he did just have to put
I saw that on Facebook, and I felt really bad. So maybe that's why, he's kind of not in his right frame of mind.
He's trying to make a new connection.
Yeah.
Right. No, he
so
did.
Condolences go out to
really,
Mr.
no.
Layman.
Actually, I had been talking to him that night when he had to put one of his cats down. So, anyway, Chew number 8, the famed Pollo Rojo cover.
Yes. Also, we need to point out that John Layman is now a New York Times bestseller author.
New York Times bestselling author.
Holy
yes,
shit.
That is pretty
What's up with
cool.
that? 3 weeks in a row, man.
3 weeks. In Chew number 8, we have the continuing adventures of Tony Chew on the island of Yamapalu, where he's trying to track down the source of this peculiar fruit that tastes like chicken. And
the fruit even gets its own little page here, origin story,
which is kind of cool. Yeah. It's actually kind of cool. We get into deeper into the story of this fruit, what happens on this island, and really what the type of repercussions that banning poultry in the United States can have in other countries. You know, this little island's entire economy gets turned upside down because of it. Mm-hmm. And it's very clever the way John portrays this. The side story is Chow Chu, Tony's brother, has just discovered that he's not going to get to work with real chicken on the little island resort where he was supposed to be the head chef. So Chow Chu is turning into kind of like the he's pulling the old artistic thing. I'm not going to do this. I was promised chicken. And then he finds out you really can't walk out on the folks on this island because there are other things going on in the background. What can you say except that Layman brings out another aspect of Tony in this book that we weren't aware of. Okay? Something that Jose and I had talked about previously. Tony Chu's an angry little fucker.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's violent. He's a violent dude. And the fact that there is so much swearing in this book, there is quite a bit of violence. Which
certain people have problems with, according to the letters columns. The letter pages in the back. But,
and this is a violent book. It is a really violent book. We talked about this, though, the last time we discussed Chew. And it goes back to what Rob Guillory is able to do with the style, his style, the way he portrays the stuff that goes on in here, the way he renders everything. This sort of cartoony animation style really works for this. John decided to go over on another video channel, won't say which one, to do an interview, He did a Skype interview with some other folks, where on top of that, he showed them a cover. And I gave John shit for that, giving somebody else an exclusive. But he had talked to them about how he really wanted Rob Guillory to do this style of artwork. Mm-hmm. He really wanted Rob to do it like this. Rob can do other types of things. You know, he can do the gritty vertical style stuff. He can do the superhero stuff. He's a very versatile guy. But when he first discovered Rob's artwork, he saw, again, that kind of, that animation style, house cartoon style. That's what John wanted. And when you read this issue, you can see why. You can see why. Because if you go with too gritty and realistic a style, that kind of blows the tone of the story. Yeah. You know, things just aren't as funny anymore. The book, I mean, I'm not saying it's a whimsical book, but it gets way too dark. And I really got to commend John on having a very specific vision on what he wanted this book to look like. Because, I'm telling you, as this story progressed, there's a scene where Tony, at this point, he's really pissed off about everything that's going on with him, and he finds some corpses buried under a tree.
Oh, one corpse.
What? I thought it was two guys. He found like a...
it was one guy. He beat the two guys into prison to find this one guy. Yeah. Because
the gamecock on the cover had been kidnapped, and there was this whole thing surrounding this chicken, this rooster. So I
don't think he was. People were looking to kidnap him, and the two guys in the prison were wanting to get this guy to give up the safe house.
Exactly.
So,
You're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. I actually read this issue, unlike you.
I did read it.
It doesn't sound like you
read the advance.
Doesn't
I
sound...
had read the advance that John sent.
Oh, so maybe there was a lot of different things in there that weren't in this issue.
Maybe he changed it, or maybe I just can't remember things as well. It's like I need some ginkgo biloba. Tony is so fed up by this point. He goes to town on the corpse of this dude, and to get all the information he needs. And I'm telling you again, Rob Guillory pulls it off. It's a scene that would be incredibly gruesome if somebody else had done it.
Well, it also helps that that in this scene here where he digs up the corpse and he's talking to the cop, the sheriff guy he's helping out with this case. And they don't show him do it. It's a silhouette, and you just see the onomatopoeia of chop.
Right.
That's fun. But then when you see it the second time, that's what makes it funny because he's got to do it again.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't get enough information that first time because he wasn't thinking about it, and then he had to do it again, and that's what actually makes the joke work.
So hell, and then there is a kind of a big thing that's dropped at the end when I don't want to give it away. There's something about the origin of this fruit that is kind of like threw me off, and I will give John Layman this is very, very clever, and from what he has told me, okay, this is issue number 8, issue number 11. We're talking the issue that wraps up the Taster's Choice
or International.
I'm sorry, the International Flavor story arc. He said that was one of the most difficult scripts he ever had to write. So he was having a big, a hard time. He was struggling with it, which means, something big's going to happen. And not to give away too much, but when I spoke with him, issue 15, he said it's going to be huge, even bigger. So with this book, they do have a very specific direction they want to go with it. This is going to be like a Vertigo book. It has a very finite end, has a very finite run. John has said...
Any like 60 issues?
60 or 80, something like that.
I think 60.
He said he told Rob, the moment these characters start doing this, and this, we're getting to the end. So I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled that for once I could even I'm in on the ground floor on one of these things and able to just follow it. And yes, I have been reading. God damn it, I have been reading it. So
the only complaint I had was that Pollo King of Cox was only really in it for a couple of pages. I mean, he did have this really awesome panel here with all of the fight posters and all the people that he's fought and news articles clipped out about how awesome this fucking cock is. He's fought Manny the Midget, and obviously he won because he's undefeated. So it's all good stuff. And I was really disappointed. And then this book is all right. And it's kind of like Buffy to me now, where I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna keep buying it. But you know what? When the first story arc wrapped up, I was like, I don't know. And then I saw this cover, and I'm like, oh well, I gotta buy it. I'm just gonna keep buying it because I gotta keep the run going, right. And I want to read this issue. And then after reading this, I'm like, all right, so I read my Pollo issue. Maybe it's time for me to stop. But then, what happens? In the letters columns, they told me in big, bold letters that Pollo will return in issue 12. So now I have to keep buying it because I know I'm going to buy that issue. And I got to keep the run going. So now I got to buy it for another 4 fucking issues.
Pollo. Just to get your Pollo, man.
Yeah.
Got to get your cock.
And if he does not do a plush of Pollo and sell it through Image or a vinyl figure, god damn it, I want one of those.
You hear that, John? We want a plush Pollo, and you know what? And I'm going to tell you right now, and he knows, I've told him this. This is the last Chew review you're going to see on this channel until Jelly Bean comes back. I want Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean, of course, the cybernetic rat from issue number...
yeah, because we never really did see what happened.
We never get... Nah.
Well, no, because he was going to take a bite of him, but he really didn't.
Yeah.
But even if he comes back as a vampire rat, that would be pretty fucking awesome.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Okay. We want a plush Pollo, and I want Jelly Bean back, goddammit.
Even vinyl. Even a vinyl kit.
A vinyl
that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
But either or.
Just get the guys who do the domos to do it.
Yeah.
A domo Pollo. All right. So, Chew. What can we say? And John, There you go. But that's it. No more until Jelly Bean. When Jelly Bean comes back, then you'll get another review.
And still only $2.99, by the way.
Still only $2.99.
Cheap.
And of course, with each story arc lasts is 5 issues, and of course they will put out those trades with each issue, which is just brilliant. Brilliant. When we return, we'll jump out of the indies and into the mainstream. And boy, I've got a review to make that's going to totally kick my ass.
Oh, so clever.
We'll see you then.